Hi there and welcome to the latest episode of Pat's Procrastination, brought to you by the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel. Here we are, episode 36 in week 3, and it is the oh so snappy title of the Pat's Procrastination post-game recap wrap. We should really put it out there to try and maybe get something a little bit more short more than anything. But yes, we are coming to you after the 3-24 loss to the Jets. Took me a minute to be able to say.
Because the O-line were processing what was coming at them.
Well, it's where is it? It's very, 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 very early on Tuesday morning, folks. So it's almost still Monday Night Football, quite frankly. But yes, here we are to talk to you about that Jets game. I don't know if we're going to do the offense/defense or we'll just muddle it all together because there's not that much to talk about, but we shall see. We always find a way. So I am, as usual, Clazzy Clare. He is Chudders. So, Chudders, how are the things with you?
Well, the dust has settled now, a few days later, nearly a week later, which is probably just as well, because I think if we'd tried recording something last week, we would have been incredibly tired, having stayed up to watch it, and incredibly disappointed and despondent, I guess, at the lackluster performance we'd seen. At least now we've had a bit of time to breathe, relax, chill, before we look at it.
I have 2 points. One, I'm always tired, so it's completely irrelevant when. And two, I don't think I feel any differently. I don't know if I feel worse now than I did straight after watching. I think, yeah, I don't know if time has been our enemy in this respect in regards to doing the show after the game kind of thing. Maybe we should have just stayed up all the way through Thursday and had ridiculously early Friday morning people. It's blurry-eyed and stuff. I don't know if we'd have been very good content-wise, though, in your pajamas.
So, I'll throw out then the challenge of, normally we like to break it down offensive positivity. Do you have any offensive positivity from Thursday night that you'd like to discuss, Claire? I can see the hamster running around the wheel.
Jacoby came out alive. He's still alive. It's rough. A 3-24 loss is rough when a lot of it was on the offense. I don't know. I'm not one for, they gave Drake May some time. It's not really. No, there wasn't much good to talk about the offense. There's plenty to talk about, and hopefully we won't get too negative. But no, there's a few things that are concerning me on the offense.
We'll get to the negatives. Don't worry. We have 4 hours to cover the negatives. So I got my little spoon out to scrape the barrel as closely as I could. 2 positives that I could take from the offense.
2?
2. Well, because I'm the positive one on the show, so I need to bring these things. You know, your negativity and pessimism often brings the show down, Claire. So I would say that 4th down efficiency. They got 3 of 3. Woohoo! That was mainly Drake May when they just gave him all opportunities because there was no hope of victory. You might as well keep going for it on 4th down, but at least they got them. And then Douglas had a good game. I thought 9 of 7 for 69. That's the first time this season he started to pop a bit. Mr. Douglas there. Why are you wagging your finger at me?
Because I have issue with that. I have issue with the was he targeted because he was open, needed to be targeted, that was the play, or was he targeted because he had one of those little tantrums, the divas, I'm not getting the ball enough. And I hate those. I'm not getting the ball enough. This is a team that is rebuilding, and it's a team sport as well. And I just, that really nibbles my butt.
Okay, but either way, whatever the reason was that he got the targets, and I agree that's something that is up there for discussion. The production he got, having been targeted 9 times, catch some of those 69 yards plus 1 run for 9 yards as well. 78 yards of offensive production on a day where you didn't even crack 200 yards in total. That's pretty good for one player.
Okay.
No?
I feel like if you say so. Yes, of course. However, I have the concern that it's because of that, and I don't like that. It's a game where they work best if you don't just target one guy constantly. And yeah. And also they were targeting him when they should have been running the ball, because that was one of the things that they should have done. Is the Jets weren't as necessarily strong against the run, so the Patriots needed to run. It was one of those, and they didn't, because it feels like they needed to show everyone, oh look, we are going to throw the ball, because everybody's moaning that we're not throwing the ball, and I hated that as well. So yeah, I'm going to be the negative one today, actually. There you go. I'll be the grumpy curmudgeon that you normally are.
Well, you could be Stadler, I'll be Wolf. So O-line, true. The remark I wrote down.
What
Truly
O-line?
awful. It was just awful. It's almost surprising quite how far backwards this O-line can go. We thought we'd seen the worst of it last season.
I know.
And it seems to be getting worse. And they've tried bringing in new personnel. They've tried bringing in new coaches, and it's getting worse. It's almost non-existent.
The one thing with the personnel is they're bringing in guys who have never suited up in an NFL game. All these rotational, when we looked, I mean, as we're recording this, I only picked up a little bit because obviously it was kind of last night in the US, and it's early hours this morning and stuff like that. Jalen McKenzie has been signed, but again, practice squad guy. They had Caleb Jones in one game in 2023 for Green Bay. They had him in last week. But it's like, I fully appreciate it. It's like you can only shop for what's available. Totally get that. So there's no need to kind of like, oh, well, who do you want them to get? I fully appreciate they can only get what they can get. It's just, is this really all that's there? Excuse me. Is this really all that's there? Is guys who have never even suited up for a game. I'm sure we could go on Twitter and get some of our wonderful listeners who could suit up better on the O-line.
Yeah, probably. That is all that's there. And there's a few O-linemen around the league that have gone down at the start of the season now. Yeah. And so, any that are available on the shop floor are getting picked up here, there, and everywhere as backup tackles. People are getting signed off practice squads to main rosters on other teams because people need O-linemen now. As we get to with our look ahead later, it's happening everywhere. The reality is, though, the Patriots are pretty much at the bottom of that totem pole of where any free agent or available tackles are likely to be wanting to go right now.
The problem is that where everybody else has got, I mean, you talked about the O-line injuries. I was looking at the list this morning because I was really interested, because the Browns have lost 3 of their starting O-linemen. The Eagles 2 potentially, one guy out with a finger, so that maybe not. And the Falcons the other night, they lost 2 of their main O-linemen. And it's like, if these guys have got decent backups, they'll be fine. But we've got almost the backups of the backups on our firsts, and I think this is where the problem is. But I'm sitting here saying that, and you're making me out to be the curmudgeon. I didn't feel too bad about this loss, other than it was to the Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. I was okay with it. I wasn't completely like, oh, woe is me, tragic. I was okay because the Patriots are still rebuilding. They're still trying to figure everything out, and it sucks. But going forward, it's going to be different. If we constantly see this, you've got a different scenario. My biggest problem with this loss was that it was to the detested Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. If they'd have lost like this to the Bengals, fine. But then they did to the Jets what they did to the Bengals. I'm better. I'm okay. I'm even more okay.
So I don't like losing the Jets. I'm with you. I don't like losing Aaron Rodgers. But my expectation was that we're going to lose this game because of where the Patriots are. And I agree with you. This is rebuilding season. So as I've said many times, the actual end result, the wins losses column, it doesn't bother me much for this season. What the reason I dislike this loss and why I don't like it at all is the trajectory of the team. If this had been the first game of the season, if we'd played the Jets away, first game of the season, they'd beat us 24-3 in that manner, because the reality is 24-3 flatters the Patriots the way that game was played out. You had the ball 19 minutes of the whole game. They had 41 nearly. If this had been the first game of the season, you've gone, okay, we're just going to write it off, bury the ball. We're rebuilding. We're not that great. Then second game of the season, you lose to Seahawks in a fashion where possibly you could have won if things had gone a different way. I think Seahawks were the better team.
Yes,
but if things had gone, a few plays had gone here or there slightly differently, you could have won that game. And then game 3, you beat the Bengals in the manner you did. It was still a close game. Let's not pretend you blew anyone out, and there were a few factors that went your way, but you won. Then you'd be saying, brilliant trajectory of this team. We started off at the bottom. We improved week 2, week 3, boom, we got a win.
Yeah.
We had to dig hard. Defense played well. Offense mainly relying on the running game, but we showed we can put an offense, we can put drives together. You said, brilliant, we're going in the right direction here.
Yes.
Whereas it's been the opposite.
Yeah,
and we're getting worse. And the purpose of the season, as I said last week, is to develop. And it doesn't feel like we're developing. Now, I'll agree with you, because I said last week I wanted to see more of a passing offense, even if it's not necessarily wholly successful. I didn't just want us to be relying on a run game for the rest of the season, because I didn't think I was going to develop another thing. So there were remnants of more of a passing offense, which did please me. The results, it wasn't that amazing. They only got 130, 120 yards of passing offense there. That's virtually nothing in the modern NFL. But it was more than previous weeks, so I'm pleased that was at least attempted, even if it wasn't wholly successful. But the trajectory of the team is going backwards. The defense, again, you'd say they took a step back. The Jets could do basically whatever they wanted. If they wanted to do it on the ground, they could do it on the ground. If they wanted to do it in the air, they could do it in the air. You were just manhandled by a better team. But the reality, and this is where it's really hard to fathom. Well, not hard to fathom, but you were manhandled by a team, but I don't even rate the Jets that highly in the scheme of the NFL. And I don't see them as elite Super Bowl contenders. They're a very good team. I think it's high likelihood they'll be in the playoffs. But they're not up there with the Kansas Cities, with a healthy 49ers, with an on-form Eagles. They're just better than you by quite a way, and they're only maybe a middling upper team, in my view. That's where it's really worrying. So anyway, that's my moaning for a moment or two. Anything else you wanted to discuss, negative, positive, about the offense?
No.
Yeah, it almost felt, this is sad as it is, one of the most exciting moments really felt in the first half. The greatest hope of any scoring was a Hail Mary. You sort of thought, oh, wicked, we actually could try and get the ball in the end zone here. At the end of the first half, when you're just throwing it up, and the likelihood of these things ever happening is 6% or whatever it is on Hail Marys, but it was like, oh, some exciting offensive once, because we're going to be bombing it down the field to the end zone on a prayer. It was just not good. I suppose I will take you up on your point about Drake May coming in the game. And you're saying I didn't bother you. It didn't light me up in terms of his actual play. I do think that hints to his development, in as much as I think there's a good chance we'll see a similar game this weekend. And I don't want to get into it too much with predictions, but I think we'll see similar this weekend, and there's a chance he'll come in the fourth quarter again, start to develop, and then looking further ahead, you've then got the Dolphins the week after, who are looking quite bad at the moment. I think there's a chance we are getting towards the start of a Drake May era, or at least him starting, because there's just no spark. There's no toys. on offense. There's no excitement. And I know that Gerard Mayo and Robert Kraft shouldn't be thinking about the entertainment of the fans when they're deciding on the development of Drake May, because it's not about how excited the fans are. Oh, if you want him to sit for 8 games, a whole season, because you think that's in the best interest of his development, and that means we'll get the best Drake May we can over the next 15 years, then that's the plan you need to follow. But it just feels that nobody's having a productive, developmental, positive time on offense the way things are currently going. The O-line not getting any better. It just isn't. It's getting worse. No. If anything, a different quarterback could change that, in as much as you might be able to take a bit of pressure off them if you're offering more of a passing threat, and so defenses are possibly not sending six guys at the quarterback the whole time because they're more fearful they're having to drop 2 back every time.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe that'll assist on the O-line slightly, maybe, or a quicker passing game, something like that. I just feel like you've got to start using the toys you've got. You look at the talent on other teams, the weapons they have, the strong I mean, take the Jets. They had a strong O-line that was Derek White. We'll get to it. Had no game basically. They were blocking. You saw Rodgers had loads of time. They had an effective run game. That's what you want to be seeing from your team, and they showed you how you can do it. I just think we're getting closer to. We need to do it. We're not getting in new talent at wide receiver. We're going to try different pieces on the O-line to try and improve it. Like you say, these names that they're bringing into practice squad to rotate through. But it's hope more than expectation. It's hope that you can pick another piece of coal out, polish it up, and you're going to make it a diamond.
Well, I guess all we can really cling to at the minute is, well, you never know. See what the rest of the season brings. I get what the Drake May thing, put him in there. I don't know. I'm still put him in to get killed, to win one out of it's. I don't know. That one's really difficult right now. How can you develop when you're flat on your back?
How can you develop when you're on the sideboard with a clipboard?
There's too many.
I don't mind losing.
Yeah.
I obviously don't want him to get hurt. But to some respects, I don't mind him going out there and seeing pressure, because if he's going to be a successful,
that's fair.
That's what he needs to see.
Yes,
he's not.
I agree.
In my mind, he's not going to develop his game. You look at the other quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks around the league, and they're not totally lighting it up, maybe in the way CJ Stroud did last year. But some of them are playing well, some of them developing. But you'd think, okay, come week 8.
Aren't though. Sorry to interrupt you. It's not a exact science, because you've got some guys who are kind of lighting it up, and then you've got some guys that are absolutely just trashing it out, and it's like the worry of, where are you going to be with this guy? He's your future. Why are you sacrificing your future for a couple of games because you want some entertainment? It's tricky. I get he needs development, and I agree with that.
Because I know what so Caleb Williams is an example. He's not really lighting it up with the Bears, but he's learning. So that possibly by week 6, he might be. I don't know who they're playing week 6, but the point is they didn't expect the Bears to be 3-0 by this point. But what they wanted to do was start him, get him working with his receivers.
Yeah.
So come partway through the season, hopefully, boom, it's connecting, it's working now, and they can go into next season. Okay, we got this set. He's ready now, and next season maybe we are looking at playoffs, or at least attempting. Whereas you feel like with the Patriots, okay, how long is he going to sit for? Yeah, if he starts week 7, May, now I'm talking about, he's now at that point where Caleb Williams was week 1, and Caleb Williams now got 7 games on him, developed 7 games, and you'd like to think, if you're a Bears fan, Caleb Williams now week 7 is playing better football than Drake May will be week 1 as a Patriot. Now the reality is, neither the Bears nor the Patriots are worried about Week 7, season 2024. They want to develop their quarterbacks for 2025, 26, 27, 30. And these early games don't matter too much. But I just fear that we're going nowhere. As I said last week, we're spinning our tires. We're not. The receivers aren't developing. Jalen Polk, Baker that you signed this season, KJ Osborne you brought in, they're not developing. You're not really evaluating them. They're not improving their game. So what are we doing? Are we just
I don't disagree.
Let this season exist as a season? It's a season that happened, but we haven't really developed our receivers. If you kept this up going into next season, would you think, okay, now I know who our receivers are? Now I know we got Drake May ready to go. No, you don't. I just fear that it's anyway. I think it will be time sooner than later. Part of it is hope that you and I are going to the Jaguars game in a few weeks' time. That Drake May will be the starter by that game. Hopefully, because I think we'd both. Certainly, I'd like to see Drake May play in that game rather than Jacoby Brissett. But yes, we'll see.
For me, it feels like there's almost no well, personally, my opinion is there's no wrong or right answer, because if you start him now, yes, you get him some experience and things like that. I fully get that and don't think that's wrong. But if you sit him a little while to learn more from the bench and be protected and see what's out there, again, I don't think that's a right or wrong either. This is the thing. You don't know now which one is going to be better for him, because it varies across the league, and two, it varies with everything. There's so many variables involved in it that you can't really foresee which one would be better for him. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I agree with all of the points that you've made and that everybody's making about Drake starting. But I don't think the people who are more inclined to have him sit a little while longer are wrong in their reasoning either. That's the tricky thing. No one is actually right or wrong, and no one can be, because you'll never actually know which is better. You'll never know sitting here what in, say, 5 years' time worked out the best for Drake May to be the franchise quarterback. We just can't see it. We'll only know the one path that they go on, whichever one that might be. But we are really losing time just arguing the same thing, to be honest with you. The one point I wanted to make about the defense is how they seemed undisciplined. And I was concerned about this. I'm wondering if it was missing Bentley as some leadership. They were really only missing him, so it was a little bit of a mild concern. Can they get a bit of a talking to and get told to pull their socks up, sort of thing, and play? Because we know they can play better, and I think that's what's a bit more frustrating. The offense, we don't know. This is what we've got. We don't even know. The defense, we know that we've got good players. We know that they can play better than this. So it's a letdown that they played the way they did. However, I did really enjoy Uche's flattening of Aaron Rodgers. And I know these things aren't great because of the way they did them, and they ended up with penalties, and the penalties ruined the game, and blah, 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 blah. But I just for a moment took that in a vacuum just to enjoy, because I do like the smash mouth football. I do like it when it's more aggressive, when it's more dominant sort of thing. So I took a mild little bit of pleasure out of that just for a moment. Because I hate Rodgers anyway. Do you have anything else other than saying that the punter is possibly one of the best punters in the league right now? And I love me some Battinger anyway, so I don't mind with that. If it's not good that's the only good thing about the game, but I love me some punter, you know that. So yeah, do you have, before we wrap this up, because it is just becoming a whinge fest and I don't think that's appropriate right now, do you have anything else you wish to say about this Jets game?
I agree what you're saying on defense. It felt it felt almost lackluster at times. I thought, like say, discipline. I think you could probably throw that in with some of the penalties they gave away. Yeah. What I felt looking at it was, it looked like a defense that was frustrated, and they're frustrated because they've lost one of their key edgemen, Judon, who traded away.
Yeah,
they lost their talisman of defensive lineman for the season, looks like far more. They've now lost their leader in Bentley.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like we said, for this game, they were out there for nearly 41 minutes.
Yeah.
They've been defending, they're giving their efforts when possibly they look at it and think that these aren't being matched by the offense. Are we being let down by our offense? Because
Yeah.
there virtually isn't one. They're giving away the ball a lot. They're not moving it down the field. They're not giving us much of a break when we're trying to recover from the last drive we've just been facing. I just wonder whether some frustration there. They might. The reality is, like us, they might be looking at it and going, "What are we doing with Brissett? Like, we want to see Drake May out there. Give it a go. What's happening now isn't working. It's not. It's not working for the offense, but maybe they're looking at going, it's not working for us in defense either because we're not getting the rest we need from drives. We're not. You're not going to get the best out of us because you're not giving us the best opportunities here." And I just wondered if there's a bit of that frustration that is already possibly starting to creep in. I hope not. We're early in the season. We're early in the Gerard Mayo era as head coach of the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's not the sort of philosophies or you want around the team. But I just wondered if that might be slightly starting to play in there.
That's sort of ticks at the other boxes of, with regards to Douglas complaining he's not getting enough targets, that sort of thing. If the defense are feeling that way, you're losing the aspect of the team banding together, and you don't want. That's right now the one thing that they need to do is stick together, because they have so many holes and weaknesses and injuries and things like this. To rebuild this team, they need to rebuild as a team, and I think that's really significant. So we shall turn the page and screw New Jersey.
As you touched on, Barringer probably man of the match because his punting was good. I was going to ask you tight endage. There was some brilliant tight endage on display, I thought, to be honest. Conklin, 5 for 6 for 93 was brilliant for the Jets.
Boo! Boo!
But no, Henry Hooper didn't do much. Henry
You can't
2
do
for
much
19.
when the ball's on the
Hooper,
floor with the
Hooper
quarterback
one
going to.
for 19. It was good, but I assume the tight end didn't do much for you in that game.
Well, no, let's not put words in my mouth. I always love me a bit of tight endage, but the offense itself, it just wasn't, was it? So let's not pinpoint particular plays. Let's turn the page and screw New Jersey and move on to San Francisco.
Right. So before we do turn that page, the last thing I'll say then is my underrated player of the day. I'm giving it to Douglas because I thought he had a good game.
Okay.
So yeah, I know you want to push on. You probably want that segment gone from the show. You didn't like it.
No, I just always forget
Just
about
wait
it.
till I get my flow later in the season and I'm making up sponsors for it again. You'll love that.
No, it's just my memory's so bad, and we do these shows so early in the morning, so I'm so tired. I always forget. That's my bad.
Okay, so turning the page, 49ers. We're helped. This is similar to Bengals. They're without McCaffrey, they're without Debo, they're without Kittle. It looks like Trent Williams is now out as well. They're all-star left tackle. So you're facing a team who have got dire injury problems. But I don't know if you caught their game against the Rams on Sunday, but they, and to be fair, the Rams is just as if not more beat up than them, but they still put on a show. They can still move the ball. They've still got defense. How do you think this game's going to play out, Claire?
I'm giving the Patriots the benefit of the doubt that the Jersey game was a one-off tragedy, and whilst they're not going to be great, they're going to pull their socks up, as I said. And I've got a Patriots win 16-13, because San Fran are going to like really hurt from having the guys out and stuff. That's where I'm going. Bring it on.
Going to impress me this season, because I get the impression you're going to find a reason every week why this is the week that the Patriots are going to pull one out. Just you wait and see. No, I think it'll be lost. I think it could be similar to the Jets game, to be honest. I've gone 24-6. unless something fundamental changes, I
Mhm.
can't see this offense being that efficient, that effective to be marching the ball down the field against San Fran.
Someone's going to
Well-
spark that they've brought in. Sorry to cut you off on the O line. Something's going to gel. Scott Peters is going to pull them together, and they're going to be
The one benefit they've got
okay.
time, they've had a 10-day break by the time they get to this game.
30.
So maybe something will have worked. They will have found something. What I'm hoping is that they maybe change up the game plan slightly, because
Mhm.
trying to play dropbacks and whatever isn't working. You need a passing game. Get the ball out as soon as it's in the quarterback's hands. Plenty of quick slants, something like that, so that it doesn't matter that there's a turnstiles in front of you with D lineman in your face. You just got the ball out immediately. It doesn't matter that, give them 1.5 seconds to get to you, because they're definitely going to be there too. Maybe trying something like that. And that's where possibly a change of quarterback could help that as well. I don't know.
We shall see.
I just feel like they've got to do something. They've got to scheme something different. The pieces aren't changing. They're not going to change overnight into the best O-line out there. Okay, so what can you do differently? Maybe more movement, more screens, more whatever, to get the O-line operating differently, so it's trickier for the defensive coordinators to be adjusting to it. I don't know. They've got to do something differently, because it's not working at all. So yeah, I'm going 24-6. And I even toyed whether to double those points to 6 from 3, to be honest, for the Patriots, based on what we've seen so far. We've not seen anything.
No, I fully appreciate what you're not wrong.
I'd love to have more confidence in them, but you're going to the West Coast. You're playing a San Fran team that has aspirations in the postseason, who will be pissed off after a local loss to the Rams, divisional loss to the Rams. So they will be firing on all cylinders. They got a lot of injuries, but I think they've got more fire in the tank than you have to be more efficient with what they do have.
See, my sort of attempt at positivity is maybe the Patriots will be fired up from such a tragic loss, know that they can play more disciplined, and maybe do better. Yeah, maybe still not get the win. I know I'm a little bit kind of out there, but I'm terrible at predicting a loss anyway. So I try and stay as positive as I can. I just try and stay on the edge before I topple into the abyss of delusional.
One question I was going to have for you is that I appreciate, and we jest at the start, I know that I'm possibly more negative. I would say more realistic. You'd say more negative in the way that I've looked at this team past couple of years, like say 36 episodes in now. The way that I look at it is not as rosy. I would argue, I would say successfully, that the results on the field have shown that I've been more right than wrong, in that the past year and a half or year and a bit, we've not played good football.
Not disputing. What's this "I Am Right" song that you're singing for?
No. What? No, it's a genuine question. Not you say we found it out different ways. So, and you're a positive person, and you look at the positive side. You live in eternal hope that things will change next season.
I do.
The way things have turned out, does that make it crash harder for you? Because the reality is, it's getting worse at the moment. Or is it a kind of a blind no? It's fine. Everything will be all right. I trust the long-term process. Like, kind of, at what point is there almost acceptance that, okay, I want it to be great, I want it to be good, but it really isn't? And when does that?
I admit that it's not good. I mean, most of this show I've been admitting all the negatives of it. So I'm still realistic. I still see what's wrong. I guess I've got a bit more optimism that maybe there's a way that they can put it right quicker, sort of thing. And I know some of that is rose tinted just because I'm a fan. I'm not very good at predicting losses regardless, however bad the team is. I hate trying to predict a loss. It's just, it doesn't sit within me. Now I'm looking at this and everything that you're saying is right. I rarely ever actually disagree with what you've got to say, because yeah, it's you still are logical and realistic. And it isn't that I'm thinking that you're wrong, all the Pats are great. It's just I can't bring myself to quite believe that they're going to lose. The realism is they probably will, and that's fine, and I can see that. It's not that I can't see these things, it's just I can't quite let myself believe in a loss, sort of thing. And even then when they lose, I'm not surprised, kind of thing. No, it's, I'm not blindly delusional. It's just you're picking on that particular element of, and I just can't bring myself to believe in a loss. That's it. That's in a vacuum, really. Everything else is, I agree with what you're saying. I've said very similar things, that kind of thing. So yeah, occasionally I've got a slightly more positive outlook, but it's still, I'm still realistic. I'm still logical. I still see it. It isn't that I bury my head in the sand and pretend not to see. It's just I'm choosing to kind of try and believe, oh, maybe that new O-lineman, oh, maybe miracles will happen and he'll be good. It's just, that's not being realistic. That's just trying to push your belief more. Does that make sense?
Excellent. No, it's excellent. And that's what I thought, but I thought it was nice to discuss fandom and the different ways of fandom and the impacts that it has. And like you say, it's when that whistle blows at the end of the game and you have lost, despite all the hope, not expectation, the hope, the promise, the miracles, everything else, that something's going to go right here, and then it doesn't. It was to explore whether that then hit more and affected for next, but it doesn't. But that's good because it's explaining your fandom and your eternal.
Yeah, stop trying to make me out like some crazy person.
No, it wasn't. That
who
wasn't
just
the point.
Doesn't see anything.
Don't you're a crazy person. Like you said, we fan in different ways, and I thought it was good to explain your fandom to your listeners and viewers. It was meant as a positive message.
Okay. And on that positive message, then we will move on to San Francisco Sunday. And now I haven't wrote that down. Tell everybody when the game is, Chudders.
4:05 US time, obviously.
Yeah. So don't forget to tune in next week to Pat's Procrastination episode 37. Please be subscribing to the YouTube channel, the Pat's Propaganda YouTube channel, so that you don't miss an episode. So when we come to you on week 4, you won't miss it. Hopefully I'll have more sleep by then. So from him, Chudders, from myself, Clazzy Clare, this has been the Pat's Procrastination post-game recap wrap. Tune in next time, folks. And as always, you know the drill. Go Pats.
LFG.